So I grew up on construction sites. I've always been like a tomboy and just wanted to drive truck, wanted to be on site, wanted to like that was my thing. I'm a real tomboy. If you really know me, I'm a tomboy. But yeah, that's really what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to get into. So I went to UTech for construction management. As a female, it's a tough field, and I realized that very early because we had to go on like work experience, and I did work in construction for a small period of time, and it's definitely rough, but it's at the time it's what I wanted to do. So generally, how it works is you do 3 years and you get a diploma, and then you do a year and a quarter and you get your degree. So after the first 3 years, I got my diploma. Started working and then started also going back to school to complete that degree. And then I got an internship in the middle of my year and a quarter at an event company. And once I got that internship, right after the internship, they offered me a full-time job. And I just dropped out of school. Yeah. And I dropped right out of school, and my parents were very supportive, thank God. I realized at that time that I really wanted to do events and I really wanted to gain more exposure in the field. I wanted the experience to, of course, then go on and do my own thing. So I went ahead and took the job. I was an account executive, because that's what you would call it, because we manage different accounts for different clients, because it was mostly corporate. But I was an account executive at Creative Media and Events. That at the time was led by Garth Walker and Leighton Davis. Ultimately, we were kind of in charge of overall look and feel. So that would be our area, and then we'd get all the suppliers to kind of execute what we're envisioning. During that time, I realized for sure this is my passion, this is what I want to do. I love working in events, love the whole design aspect of everything, and I knew that at that time, I found what I wanted to do. So basically, I got a job in a non-competitive field. I was the business development manager for VIP attractions because I wanted to do event planning on my own. But I also wanted the stability of having a job. So I was a business development manager that has nothing to do with events, so it was fine for me to pursue that while I was there. I can remember my first big event. So my first big event on my own was, they probably didn't even know that it was my first event, my first large event, but it was an event for a company called AstraZeneca, which is distributed here by Curated. I think a lot of the times people just assume that I'm always doing big things, so they just assume that no problem, Kerry can manage this. And I went into that event like, wow, this was a lot. Before, while I was working at Creative Media, it was more so, okay, well, I get the suppliers know what they have to do. Now I'm the one doing the things. So, and of course, I'm heavily involved in the design and the decor, and this event was mostly about the design and decor of the place. I remember it was at Terra Nova, at the Venetian. And yeah, it was a lot of hard labor. It was a lot of manual labor. I had to be carrying in coaches and carrying in different things and managing this aspect of the event, plus trying to get into all of the finer details and just trying to manage my time. But luckily everything was on time. Everything happened way before it needed to. I was at least prepared in that aspect. But yeah, it was a serious learning experience for me. I for sure felt overwhelmed probably the entire time of the actual execution of the event. I think before, while planning, I felt fine, but on the actual day, I was like, okay, we need to get this done, we need to get this done. And I think no matter how much planning I could have done, I wouldn't have realized just how overwhelming it would have been. So I'm going from maybe having one event a week, and probably a small event at that. And during Christmas, I probably had 4 events a week. And that was just getting very overwhelming to be having my job plus trying to do these 4 events a week. And I had a situation at work that asked me to cover for someone. So I came in just to try to cover for a couple of hours. And during that time, there was an incident with another staff member. So it had nothing to do with me, but I didn't like how that incident made me feel. And I was just like, if there was ever a time that I was iffing and butting at the time whether or not I would just take the leap fully, and that incident just made me feel like, yeah, no, I don't think I want to work anymore. This was my sign. That was my sign, and I think the very next day, I sent in my resignation letter, and that was it. That was it. That was a leap of just having lots of events for the Christmas, not knowing what was going to happen in January, February, March, but I was just like, yeah, I can do this now. I'm fine. I can do it. Once I sent in my resignation, I just did the rest of the Christmas, handled all of my events, and from there, honestly, things just started to fall in place. It wasn't a matter of I needed to do this extra to try to get this. Things honestly just started to fall in place after that. I think it was the best decision I could have made at the time, and I think it was just the perfect time. I wouldn't have realized that in the moment, but it was the perfect time, and I went for what I wanted, and everything worked out. From working at VIP and then transitioning to KW events. So it was just KW events. I was only doing events, and I was doing that for, I'd say, maybe a year and a half of just doing events. Then I decided that I wanted to try to take on rentals. Because of course, during this time, I'm not really owning anything for myself. I don't have anywhere to put anything that I could possibly own for myself. So I didn't have much, but maybe, just a couple detail pieces, that kind of thing. But I wanted rentals. What I realized that a lot of people in the industry do is they have like specific pieces that they only use for themselves. So that's a signature, that's a Kerry event, because Kerry is the only one that has this and she's the only one that uses that. And then of course I wanted to take on just the regular pieces and have that just be an added income. This is how Matthew comes into play. Matthew is one of my friends from when kind of situation, and he really believes in me and the things that I want to do. And he wanted to be a part of the next step in this business, which was attaining the rentals. So at the time, someone was going out of business and wanted to sell all of their stuff. Now, poor me as a 20-something-year-old, 20 little bit, had no idea what this was gonna cost. It was just so far out of our reach. We're like, what? In order for us to just even get the deposit, we had to take out a loan to get the deposit. I was just confident that I could do it. That was really it. I was confident that I could do it. It seemed like a ridiculous amount of money, but I was just like, no, I can do this. Like, what? Why? Why not? I can do it. So we basically took over her entire warehouse and everything, and we kind of like inherited her staff. So it was a smooth transition because there was already a rented warehouse, the lease just needed to turn over to us and that kind of situation. So for December, it was fine because December is that time, no problem. Then we went into January, February, March, and it was a rough time. It was when we had to realize that we had to start marketing properly, because, things were just falling into place for me before. But now we realize we have to start marketing, we have to start pushing ourselves out there. We have overheads now, we have staff to pay, and yeah, it was a whole new thing that just happened, and it was just so much money, unlike a 20-something-year-old that just had no idea that this is what she was getting herself into. There was definitely many months where we couldn't make our payments. Especially the big payment, which was the loan amount that we had in our agreement. It never reached 3 months. 3 months, that's when the bank start calling you, even though this was not a bank situation. Never reached 3 months ever, but would pass a month, would probably pass 2 months, and then we'd try and catch right back up. But honestly, it was so nerve-wracking. We just tried our best to get back on track. because it was a very uncomfortable situation, obviously. Very uncomfortable situation, not being able to meet all of our obligations. I'm gonna say after like a year, everything kind of smoothed out and we're able to just manage our bills and manage our expenses. We actually moved into a larger place, and we were literally at that place until COVID. The first couple of months of COVID, we completely stopped business. Completely stopped. I mean, there was obviously nothing for us to do anyways, so we had to completely stop business. All of our staff they all had to go and look for new jobs. I was obviously just kind of at a standstill, and everybody was just kind of waiting around, kind of trying to figure out what's the next step, what are we gonna do, and it was just, everything was completely unpredictable. So we had to, even though we got I'm gonna say a couple months of a rent break, we had to move out of the building that we're in. Because they can for sure only give us that for so long. And we also didn't want to spend the money that we had on that either, not knowing what was going to happen. A lot of stuff just went missing. Yeah, nicely put. A lot of stuff just went missing during that time. And looking back, what I would tell myself is like, everything is gonna be fine. It's all gonna work out. It's never gonna not be okay. Everything will work out every single time. Because right now, I'm confident that there's just nothing that we could have even done differently at that time. I think my clients book me because I'm really good at design. That's my area of expertise. I think that I'm great at design. I think that I'm great at creating experiences. And I think that's one of the main reasons why people come to me, why people come to KW Events. 2023, KW Events and Rentals, we of course do both rentals and events. We mostly do corporate events. For a long period of time, we had a very wide range of different types of events that we would do. But I think we've kind of settled on the fact that corporate is our area. It's the area that we like. And of course, we do a lot of large parties. And we do weddings every now and then, but corporate is our main area. And of course, rentals is a big part of our business as well. There are lots of events that I go on that at the end of it, I'm just like, yeah, you really did this. But in terms of what it is for me that makes things very like fulfilling is when the client comes on site and they're like blown away. So I think that how I work best is when the client gives me an overview of what they want, not necessarily design related, but just an overview of what they're trying to achieve with the event. I think when they do that, and then I take on the design from that perspective, I think that's when things work out best. I'm going to say for the most part, my clients give me a lot of freedom to do what it is that I want to do. And I think that's most of my long-standing clients. They understand me, they know that I understand their brand, and they just kind of leave me to do what I want to do. And I think that's when we create the best things. There are definitely considerations that I give for each brand. So like I would understand that a particular brand is always just a very corporate look, and that is what they go for at all times. And then I'll understand that even though this person is also corporate, they have a more fun look that they're going for. Like their brand identity is just kind of very fun and maybe geared towards a different target audience. So because of that, it's gonna have a completely different look from somebody else that might really just be same kind of financial institution, but just a more fun brand. Or it could also just be a very warm brand. You know who's warm? JM&B. They're a very warm brand. It's very like family oriented, and that's what they're trying to capture in every single execution. Micromanagement is one of those things that I had to learn to just let go of. I had to learn that over time. I think COVID was just a very big eye-opener for me. And I think that a lot of things changed for me during that time. I was pregnant when COVID happened. I had my baby during COVID. and things were obviously very different. We weren't doing a lot of events, and to try to get back into doing events with the mindset that I had before, that I needed to be doing everything, was just not gonna work. So I had to just quickly adjust and just get out of that micromanagement mindset, and just kind of let go and let God. The advice that I would give to anyone trying to get into this business, or just any business at all, is honestly just be confident within yourself. Like, being confident in yourself is what is going to help you the most. And then just back that up with the hard work. There is obviously a certain stage that you might not get to, or if you get there, then you are probably stepping on someone else. At the end of the day, I think that there is room for everyone to do their own thing. And there's so many different niches when it comes to events. There's people that just do picnics. Like, that's all that they do. They do picnics. That's an event. That's an area. That's a niche that you can get into. There are people that literally just do balloon artistry only. Long-term plans for KW events is we definitely want to get to a point where we have like a 10,000 square foot warehouse with housing majority of our things. We do have a separate office from our warehouse, so we want to get everything fully up and running there. And we would like to expand to Montego Bay. So that's another thing that we're looking into. That's a very long-term goal, but long-term come quick. So